Welcome back, everyone, as we continue on the MSG 150 at Home presented by Chase. Wally and I now joined by former Giants lineman Shaun O'Hara, who helps us out on our network's coverage of the Giants. And Shaun, you're uptaking the dress code to the point that Wally and I can't match it at this point.
Well, listen, I've got plenty of quarter zips. If I didn't get the memo, but I'll be happy to go up and do a wardrobe change. Look, sometimes when you get dressed up at home, it makes you feel like you actually left.
Well, you're looking good, and we appreciate your time. So last night, the NFL draft, 7 offensive linemen taken in the first round. 6 of those were offensive tackles. It was done virtually, executed really well by ESPN. What's your take on what you saw last night in the first round?
Yeah, kudos to everybody, across the whole simulcast. I thought it was a great night. Obviously, with the draft-a-thon, they raised a lot of money too, but really no glitches, no issues with any of the from a technological standpoint. So that was great to see. It's always fun to watch an NFL draft when the big fellas are getting some love. Everybody talks about the quarterbacks. And, it feels like Marsha. Well, somebody's got to block for these guys, all right? You know what the completion percentage for a quarterback is when he's on his back? 0. So I love the draft when it's got big-time tackles. And this draft had a ton of really good tackles. Now, I feel like there was a logjam kind of at right tackle. Everybody kind of had their own ranking. But at left tackle, I really felt like Andrew Thomas, who the Giants selected 4th overall, was the best left tackle in this draft. And I really loved his athleticism. His pass sets were second to none. And when you look at him on film, he was stellar against some of the best competition college football had to throw at him. He held up. He's played in every single big game you can ask a college kid to play for. When you look at what Andrew Thomas did as a true freshman at Georgia, think about this. As a true freshman, he steps onto the team and starts at right tackle, plays in the SEC championship game, plays in the Rose Bowl, plays in the championship series as an 18-year-old kid. So right out of the gate, he was a special kind of guy, really talented kid. Then he goes to the combine where they test arm length. His arms might be longer than Wally's, right? 36-inch arms. This kid's like a condor. So that's exactly what you want when you're looking at a left tackle like the Giants just got.
I agree, Shaun. The athleticism is tremendous, and we obviously know how important it is to have a left tackle when you have a tremendous running back like Saquon Barkley and a franchise, hopefully, quarterback like Daniel Jones. What exactly is he going to bring and his skill going to bring to help elevate those guys and reach their potential?
Yeah, Dave Gettleman, I think, when they hired him as general manager a couple of years ago, number one, he had to fix the roster, and he had to do it by fixing the cap first. So you knew he was going to try to build with the draft. And you look at the last 3 first-round picks that the Giants have had, all right? They take Saquon Barkley, a generational back. You take Daniel Jones, who surprised a lot of people at 6th overall, but now Andrew Thomas. So you basically have 3 franchise players at 3 of the most important positions on an offense. So you're set. You've got generational type guys. Andrew Thomas is going to be a tackle for the Giants, I think, for his entire career. He might start off at right tackle, but he no doubt can play left tackle. Some of these other tackles, there was a question mark, can they play left tackle? So what is he bringing to the Giants? Well, I think he's going to bring a lot of consistency. For 3 years, he's been the best left tackle in the SEC. All right, he was the best left tackle last year. He won the award. When you look at what he has done and the talent he's gone against week in and week out, he does not shy away from any of this competition. So you've got a battle-tested guy. I think they've tried to fix the culture in the offensive line room. For so many years, Eli Manning was under duress, and they missed with Eric Flowers, who was a 9th overall pick years ago, and that kind of held them hostage. So I think this is kind of a way for them to try to fix this offensive line and fix the tackle position for years to come, not just a 1-year Band-Aid or a 2-year Band-Aid with free agency. So I think Andrew Thomas is a great fit for them right now because he can play right tackle. Nate Solder could stay at left tackle. And then in the future, in a year or two, if they need him to move to left tackle, he can absolutely do that.
Shaun, the Giants, whether or not they tried to trade down, they probably didn't have a huge market because it turned out that the Dolphins and the Chargers each got the quarterbacks that they needed, picking 5th and 6th respectively. Dolphins get Tua Tagovailoa at 5th overall. If you were an offensive lineman or were an offensive lineman playing in front of an injury-prone quarterback, does that impact how you go about your business?
Well, I think my first question would be, where did those injuries take place? If they took place in the pocket, that's on us. If it took place out of the pocket, that's on you. So when you look at Tua, he's a mobile quarterback. He's not like Jake Fromm from Georgia, who's a pocket guy. I kind of go back to Carson Wentz, right? Carson Wentz, when he was coming out of North Dakota, there were some questions about, he had some wrist injuries. Then he comes in and he had some knee injuries too in college. He comes out, suffers a knee injury, has the back injury. And so you've kind of seen that follow him throughout his career. I think first and foremost with Tua, you look at the hip injury and look, there's guys that, the first person that comes to mind is Bo Jackson. And you think, wow, career threatener. Well, different time, right? Gale Sayers never came back from his ACL. Now people do it in 6 months. I think when you look at Tua, to me, what's even more alarming is the 2 high ankle sprains that he had. I think he had 2 ankle surgeries. He had them kind of tight wire that. So it's not just the hip. It is a concern if you're looking at that from a long-term standpoint. So now as an offensive lineman, we've got to do a really good job on first and second down. So this guy doesn't feel like he's got to do everything on his own on third down.
Interesting. And now let's shift to the Jets and their pick. They went also with a left tackle in Mekhi Becton. I heard he was 346 pounds, runs a 5.1 40. This guy's an absolute freak athlete. What are your thoughts on that pick? And then also just kind of give us a difference and a comparison between Andrew Thomas and Mekhi Becton and what their skill sets are a little, if they are different or if they are the same.
Yeah, great question. I think for Mekhi Becton, 346, I think he blew by that, months ago. He's probably every bit of 360. But you mentioned the 40. He blew everybody away when he ran a 5.1 40. I was down on the field in Indy when that happened. And I'm watching him and I'm saying, oh, boy, you never know when a guy's that big. It could take him 2 days to run the 40. We saw Orlando Brown, the tackle for the Baltimore Ravens 2 years ago. They busted out the calendar for him because it took him so long. And all of a sudden everybody was, bashing the kid. And then it's like, hey, look, what are you paying him to do? You're paying him to mash people. That's what Mekhi Becton does. I think I said, ooh, wow, oh my goodness, more watching his film than any other tackle in this draft, because he literally was taking guys, defensive ends, not just defensive backs and corners. He was taking defensive ends and he was throwing them into the sideline. I mean, they were ending up in the Gatorade cooler. That's how violent this guy is when he gets his hands on you. So there was a lot of really unbelievable highlight blocks. I haven't seen a guy punish people like that since Quentin Nelson came out of Notre Dame a couple of years ago. So he is absolutely a planet. This guy blocks the sun. I think he is a monster. If you get him one-on-one, there is not a defensive end that's going to be able to stand up against his power. Now, the question is, he gets sloppy with his technique. So that was the one thing that I wrote down was, this kid is young, he's raw, he needs a really good O-line coach, he needs to go to a good system that is going to develop him. I look at it, Wally, it's like in basketball. You've got a guy who can dunk, Shaquille O'Neal, all this stuff, but if he can't make a free throw, he's a liability. So you've got to find a way to correct the hands. His hands get outside, they get sloppy sometimes, and he crosses over a little bit too much in the run game. So I think those are some things they're going to have to work on with him, but no doubt, if I'm a running back and it's 3rd and 1, I'm running behind Mekhi Becton.
Shaun, you had a great career and you did it as an undrafted free agent out of college. We have Becton and Thomas going to get a lot of attention. What is the biggest challenge each is going to face coming in as a first-round draft pick and being expected to make a contribution right away?
Yeah, I think the pressure obviously is the biggest aspect. How do you handle that? How do you handle the expectations? What kind of competitor are you? Because guys are going to try you. And Wally, you know this too. When a guy comes in, he's your first-round pick, you're going to get some ribbon. People are going to tease you about the signing bonus you got, the car you're driving. But they're also going to try you on the field, and they're going to want to know, hey, what kind of guy are you? Maybe somebody picks a fight with you. Maybe somebody goes a little bit harder because they're jealous of what you got, or they want to try to show you up. So you've got to battle all of those things. You mentioned the fact that I was undrafted. So look, I'm a perfect example of scouts are human too. They all make mistakes, right? But I got to come in and not have that pressure. And it was almost kind of like they didn't expect you to do a lot so you could really impress people. It's hard to impress people when you're a first-round pick. So I think when you look at Mekhi Becton, obviously, the fact that he's a little bit more raw, he's coming out of Louisville. He didn't play on the same national stage that Andrew Thomas did, so that will be new to him. I'll be curious to see how he handles the scrutiny. Obviously, with the Jets, being in this media market. They get a ton of scrutiny. People are going to be counting and logging every single snap that he has in training camp. You've got to find a way to block that out. You've got to handle the noise. Andrew Thomas, I mentioned what he did as a true freshman. He's played in the biggest bowl games every single year. They've lost to Alabama 2 years in a row in the national championship game. So he's been on that big stage and in those bright lights. I don't think he'll have any issue with that.
Yeah, I remember those days when I was a rookie. First play I was in the game, it would be like Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, give me the ball in an ISO against this rookie. That's how they roll, no question. But what are you expecting second day of the draft? Obviously, first day was a huge success doing it, virtually. What are you expecting on the second day?
Yeah, I always kind of feel like the first 4 or 5 picks in the second round are really an extension of the first round. And it's kind of like, wow, I can't believe that guy's still there. Wow, we thought for sure he'd be gone top 15. So, we kind of saw a run on tackles, as you mentioned. We also saw a run on wide receivers and as the first round started to get towards the midway point. So I think there's a ton of really good players. You could see there are so many big-time players that end up having great careers that are second-day picks or second-round picks. So, I think that there's obviously a ton of wide receivers still left in this draft. There's some really good running backs. Swift from Georgia is out there. I think sometimes when you get some of these second-round guys right now, they're motivated. They thought they were going to go in the first round. And you know what? There's nothing more dangerous than a motivated man. So to get some of these guys in the second round that are still available, I think is a huge plus. Josh Jones, the left tackle from Houston, I thought he was going to be a first rounder. The fact that he's still available, we could see somebody try to move up now that maybe needs a tackle and try to get a guy like that. There's a couple of centers out there. We saw Cesar Ruiz from Michigan go. I didn't know if he was going to go in the first round or not. A lot of people thought he was a second round guy. So you could see some interior offensive linemen start to go here in the second round.
All right, Shaun. Hey, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for your time. Your little one, your baby, was able to sleep through the entire segment. So already she is showing tremendous discipline. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, she's knocking on the door over here right now. So I'm going to have to go posterize her like Scottie Pippen tried to do Wally.
There you go, Shaun. Thank you so much, pal. We'll see you soon.
All right, thanks.
Coming up next on the MSG 150 at Home presented by Chase, Wally and I back with Steve and John Wallace to talk about each of their best career games. And there they are. John Wallace just showed up. John, stand by, pal. We're going to take a break and have you back on after this. See, that's a lack of discipline. Stay with us, everyone.